Hi, Rob Hall from RKH Business Advisory Services. Today we're talking about turnarounds, specifically the 1992 turnaround that initiated with Lou Gerstner at the helm. I'm referencing this book, IBM Redo, which is about Lou Gerstner's time at IBM, more like studying it than reading it, and the things that he did in order to turn around the company. So in 1992, IBM had lost $8 billion. It's billion with a B. And in 3 cumulative years, they had lost $16 billion, and the board of directors had determined time for a new head to run the company. They also determined they didn't want an IBM insider. They needed some outside-in thinking versus inside-out thinking. Their view was the company was a little bit ancillary and they missed the market moves, so they needed to get a different perspective. And I imagine that the other conversation came up when they're looking at a turnaround, which always comes up, is the debate about, in a turnaround, do you need an industry expert that understands the industry you're in, or do you need a turnaround expert? And that debate comes up lots of times. Many times they just go to turnaround experts to know how to turn around companies because you can backfill yourself with industry experts. And in this case, they chose the latter. Lou Gerstner had not run an IT company before. He had senior positions at many other companies, but not an IT firm. So let's fast forward from 1992. 6 years later, IBM had the highest stock price it ever had. It had a balance sheet full of cash, and the market cap was 4 times than when Lou Gerstner took over. So the question is, how did he do it? So there was many things that they took on, but there's 2 things that I want to talk about that not normally come up in these discussions, because they usually drive out sales and revenue and strategy and vision. The 2 that I want to talk about are 1, the man behind the man, and 2, processes. So the man behind the man in this case was Jerry York. Now Jerry York is the CFO. He's the guy that made things happen on the balance sheet and the financial statements. Jerry York had previous positions in senior leadership at GM, Ford, and Chrysler. While he was at Chrysler, he led a $3 billion cost-cutting initiative, which aligns with what IBM would need to do. He raised $2.4 billion in stock. He worked with banks to redo credit lines. He was at the table for the Chrysler bailout, and he survived 2 downturns in that industry. So he certainly had the pedigree to do what was needed. So he's the guy behind the guy. The financial guy is going to buy you time in order for you to take your vision and make it happen. Now, strategy and implementation always takes longer. So you need a guy that has that time on your side. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is processes. Now, Lou Gerstner talked about a lot that the toughest thing to do is change the processes. And without changing processes, nothing else happens and nothing else matters. So in Lou Gerstner's mind, everything that was tied to the old world was interfering with the new world. So he determined the complexity of that needed to change. So culture, teamwork, people, and leadership were the things that he focused on. So that was his long-term goal, and that was not going to happen overnight. But overnight, what he asked for from all his business units was 2 things. He wanted a business plan in 10 days that would tell them what their current customer needs, what the product line was all about, what the profit and loss statement looked like, what the competitive analysis says about them, and then wrap all that up and put that in a presentation. The other thing he said, he drew a line in the sand in 90 days, he said, we're going to stop bleeding cash, we're going to be profitable, we're going to come up with a customer strategy, and we're going to start getting all our processes to align. So that was the 6-year plan. And that 6-year plan started off with a 10-day plan, a 90-day plan, a 1-year plan, and a 6-year plan. And ultimately, as you can see by the stats relating to the stock price, the cash on the balance sheet, and the market cap, it all worked out for him and the company. In the end, the big blue turned around and became what it is again today. Now, things I want to wrap up with here, those are golden nuggets. Those 10-day and 90-day plans are not complex. Anybody can do them. They're important for any company, any size. It just takes a little bit of effort. A 10-day plan could be facilitated by a strategic facilitation effort. The 90-day plan could start with a 13-week cash flow analysis. A couple other things I want to leave you with. Lou Gerstner did a lot of interviews. They're on YouTube. And if you go watch the interviews, you'll get some additional insights. And there you'll find a common theme. He does not stray from the things he's talking about. There are core things in every interview. You wrap around some conversation, but there's core things about processes and being able to see the vision. The other thing, he wrote a book called Who Says Elephants Can't Dance, which is a bit of a follow-up to this book. And I think it'd be a good read if you're interested in both of these books. Because the books that are written those days, the tactics are still valid to today. So good luck with your business, and I wish you all the success.